ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Data Talks with Loren. This is a show where we talk about emerging trends in the data world to enable people to stay informed. Data is everywhere. It could be in our websites, it could be in the databases, on-premise or in cloud. It could be with our applications here and there. So there's a lot of data out there. But for us to make use of it, we have to actually collect this data and then either analyze it or make informed decisions based on it. Now, one of the tools that can be used is Python. So how can Python be used to collect data? And that's what we're talking about in today's show. We're going to find out some of the techniques which Python uses to collect data, and some of that includes web scraping and also consuming APIs. So we're going to find out also benefits that Python offers as opposed to other tools, and challenges that a Python developer can interacting with Python. So with me today is a Python guru who happens to be a friend of mine. I'll let him introduce himself. Victor, karibu.
Thanks, my name is Victor Ketch. I'm a software developer. I deal mostly with Android apps, and I also write Python programs. As you've heard, I'm here today to talk about data collection using Python.
Okay, so Victor, let's dive into it, right? We can start with a use case where you've used Python to collect data. How was it like for you?
For me, as a software dev using Python, it was very interesting in that I've used Python for quite some time. So I like the language, the simplicity of it. There's availability of many libraries that are used that work well with data. So yeah, I find it quite interesting, and I also enjoyed working with it.
Okay, all right. So we can move into the techniques, which I think covers the most part of what we're going to discuss about today. Yeah. Maybe you can just highlight briefly, and then we can dive deep into each of them.
All right. To get it from the top, normally when you want to do your data analysis, you have to know where this data is sitting.
Yes.
And then from there now you decide if you decide on the right tool to use.
Right.
And in this case, Python could be one of them. There are a lot of ways you can use Python to collect your data. So depending on where this data is sitting, you deploy the different techniques. So just to run through a few of them, one would be web scraping. Another one would be reading data from CSVs, interfacing, connecting to various database systems, and maybe now when you're talking of data sets, big data sets, you'd use certain specialized tools, like just to mention something called PySpark. So to highlight these different techniques, for instance, let me start with web scraping. So web scraping is collecting data that is sitting on web pages or websites, so like LinkedIn or maybe Amazon. So in the event that maybe you wanted to download or get the price list for the different items available, let's say on Amazon.
Okay.
So you'd write some program to scrape this data. Yes. From the site, and then store it maybe in a CSV file for later consumption. If you're talking about connecting to database systems, so these are the normal database systems that we've worked with. For instance, you have your MySQL,
yeah.
Microsoft SQL Server,
yes.
SQLite, just to name a few.
Right.
So Python has specialized connectors to these databases that are readily available, that you'd use to connect to this database, to a given database system, and retrieve that data. If you're talking about if this data is sitting in a CSV file or other forms of files like JSON files or XML files, so Python also has specialized libraries that would allow you to do these connections and read these files and get the data and store it to wherever you need it to be stored.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we can move on to a use case where you basically used Python to collect data successfully.
Yeah, so I'd like to go back to the web scraping example I used.
Okay.
So say for instance you wanted to do this price comparison for different sources. So you're having
Mm-hmm.
a source like Amazon, and maybe you're using Jumia, which is locally available. So you want to compare the prices for different items on these different platforms.
Okay.
So instead of going manually through the websites, we're checking how the price is listed on Amazon as compared to Jumia.
Yeah.
You'd write a simple program that scrapes this price list data from Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
and they say and also does the same for Jumia, and this would take a short time as compared if you are doing this manually.
Okay.
So we are seeing here we are seeing the strengths of Python as a data extraction tool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what would you say are benefits that you experience or anyone out there can experience when they're dealing with Python to collect data?
Yeah, so there are many benefits when it comes to using Python. So the first one is its simplicity, so in terms of the syntax.
Okay.
So for anyone who is a beginner, Python really is not that daunting as compared to other programming languages. So the syntax is quite simple, it's easy to understand. The second one is it has a rich set of libraries and tools
Okay.
that really plays well in the data field. So, for example, I'd name pandas and NumPy.
Mm-hmm.
So pandas really makes it easy for you to read data from certain sources like CSVs,
Yes.
Excel files. Yeah, so it makes the extraction of data from these sources, and you can also manipulate this data easily while still within the Python ecosystem. Another benefit would be that Python is open source and free. So if you compare it to other tools
Yes.
in the same field, say for example Tableau.
Mm-hmm.
So you find that Tableau, for you to use it,
Yeah.
it has a license,
Yeah.
and that license doesn't come cheap. So Python here, if you're not really willing to spend a huge amount of money on acquiring this license, Python really it comes free. So what you just need to do is get on the internet and download it, and you'll be set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it secure?
Yeah, Python is really secure.
Okay.
Of course, the security comes from the community that is running Python. So we find that if there are a lot of eyes looking into it, definitely the loopholes will be caught early enough in the development stages. Yeah.
Okay.
So it has that going on for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we can move on to the challenges. Yeah.
Yeah.
Experience when dealing with Python.
Yeah, of course. As with anything, as with any tool, of course there are challenges involved. The first one is even though Python is easy, but you need to have a little bit of programming concept. You need to know the data structures that you need to be working with, what needs to be done, the logic flow, and such kind of things.
Okay.
Also, just to name if you're looking at web scraping, for example,
Mm-hmm.
for you to do web scraping, you need to also understand how websites are set up, so that when you are interfacing with the website code,
Mm-hmm.
you know how to now pass this data, how to how to traverse the what's it called, the layout of this website, because behind the scenes,
Yes.
the website that you're seeing, what is visible to you as a user is actually HTML code.
Right.
So you need to have some prior knowledge of HTML and know how HTML code is arranged for you to be able to traverse it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one challenge that comes with Python.
Okay.
Yeah.
Major one, right?
And that's the major one. So if you're not really familiar with programming, you'll have to, there's that steep learning curve associated with it. But once you get over that, then you
You're
see
good
that
to
the
go.
challenges, yeah, you're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Am I forgetting anything that you want to add?
That's basically it. Maybe just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there isn't any much that you've forgotten. I think you've covered the major topics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sawa. I think at this point, maybe Victor can just give us a parting shot
Yeah.
and tell the people who are watching anything regarding data or the data collection process or Python. Just speak to your people.
Yeah, of course. There are quite a few parting shots that I have.
Okay.
So the first one is I'd like to encourage guys to really embrace programming and Python in general, because as you are going deep into your data journey, it reaches a point where now you need to do certain things by yourself. So you'll find that the tools that you've been using from the beginning, they don't really satisfy a certain need, whereby if you knew programming or you knew a certain language, like let's say for example Python, it would serve you well moving forward, in that you'll be able to do this, you'll be able to do certain manipulations by yourself. So you know that if I wanted to circumvent a certain obstacle here,
Yes.
instead of waiting maybe to get some support from the support team for that tool that you're using, say for instance Tableau.
Yes.
If you had some Python knowledge or any other programming knowledge, just to speak, just to so to say,
Yeah.
you wouldn't waste time waiting
Okay.
for this support to arrive.
So basically one needs back end and
yeah,
front end
yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other?
Yeah, I think that would be it.
Okay.
Yeah, so for anyone looking to get into data, just to know what the data field is all about, I'd really recommend this show, Data Talks with Loren. So it has some really nice bites that would really do you well when you are getting into that data. Yeah, so I think if you go through the list of episodes, the previous episodes, there's quite a lot to learn. So I encourage everyone to watch the show, like, subscribe, and share it.
Yes.